You know, there's a lot of focus on how apps and companies collect our data, but less conversation about where the data can end up, including, in some cases, being bought by government agencies. Some of the demonstrators at last month's No Kings protest worry that the government could track their participation at that protest by buying geolocation data from private companies and then scanning their faces on social media. Well, immigration and customs enforcement officers are reportedly using location-based data software that can track cell phones, but the government's use of the technology is coming under legal scrutiny. Joining us now is Kade Crockford, Director of Technology and Justice Programs with the ACLU of Massachusetts. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
We definitely have to dive into this because I think a lot of people don't realize where their data is going. So what should people know flat out?
So I think one of the most alarming things about the failure of lawmakers to update our privacy laws to reflect the new technologies that we use is this industry that has grown up in the past 10 or 15 years that revolves around taking information from our cell phones, showing our physical locations, and then selling that data to data brokers who repackage the information and sell it on to third and fourth and fifth parties who actually include the government. So, you know, there's very little that individuals can do to remove themselves from this online surveillance marketplace, except frankly not carry a cell phone. Wow. And we know for many of us that's simply not a realistic thing in the 21st century. We need our phones. That's why we're calling on lawmakers to step in here in Massachusetts.
We mentioned the No Kings protest, right? Demonstrators concerned about geolocation technology. Explain what that technology can do.
So basically, you know, we all know that there are location services on our phones, and we like them. We benefit from them. On my way here, I used Apple Maps, and I had my location services turned on because I'd never been to this studio before, and I didn't want to get lost, right? So what we're suggesting is not you know, doing away with all of these technologies that are so valuable for us in our, you know, everyday busy lives. What we're instead suggesting is that the sort of third and fourth party, you know, market of sale and resale of all of this information ought to be cut off, so that companies that are collecting our cell phone location data, they're doing that because they need to provide us with a service, and that's fine. We don't want to stop that. What we'd really like to interrupt is the surveillance market of companies that are collecting this information who actually don't need it to provide us with a service. So an example of that would be through the online advertising industry. You know, there are companies that every time you open your phone are, you know, companies that you frankly even never heard of that are basically like software API developers that work with companies that you may have heard of, like Meta or Google or other companies. And these companies are taking your cell phone information oftentimes and selling it to these third parties. So what we'd really like to see is lawmakers step in and say, okay, we're going to have some rules of the road here. If you are a company that does, you know, technology work on smartphones, you can collect someone's cell phone location data if it's to provide them with a service that they've requested, such as like a mapping technology or Uber or Lyft or something like that. But what you cannot do is then turn around and sell that information on the open marketplace. And that's exactly what's happening today, unfortunately.
And we were just talking about how government agencies are buying up that data.
Exactly.
Well, FBI Director Kash Patel, we know, told senators at the Intelligence Committee's annual Worldwide Threats hearing that the Bureau is buying commercially available data, just flat out said so, essentially bypassing the requirement for a warrant. But how do you argue if the FBI is buying the data that it is available to everyone? It's out there.
Yeah, and that's, you know, lawmakers here in Massachusetts have been struggling for the past year or so to figure out what exactly is within their power in terms of protecting folks in Massachusetts, whether it's from ICE or from the FBI's overreach, from the Trump administration, which I think, is very clearly has made obvious that it is not respecting our civil rights and our civil liberties or the rule of law. There's a limit to what Massachusetts lawmakers can do with respect to the FBI's authorities. That's really on Congress. But what Massachusetts lawmakers can do is impose consumer privacy protections in statute here that would prohibit companies from selling that data, thereby actually cutting the FBI off of access to that information. So it's an important means of Massachusetts lawmakers taking what power they do have in this moment of crisis to protect all of us. While we acknowledge that they can't, tell Kash Patel what to do, they can certainly regulate the corporations that are engaged in this business and selling this information to the FBI.
We know there's a bill pending at the State House that could block this kind of surveillance in the future. What is your view in terms of the chances that this will become law?
So we're very optimistic that Massachusetts lawmakers are going to pass comprehensive data privacy legislation this session that will prohibit entirely the practice of selling our precise geolocation data. The Senate in Massachusetts has already passed similar legislation. They passed it in September of 2025. And the House is very, very, very deeply working on this. So we are optimistic, and we would encourage folks, if you care about this, to reach out to your state rep and say it matters to you.
I know a lot of folks watching this, they're thinking, okay, that would be amazing for the state. That'd be great for the state. But federal agents, do they have to abide by a law like that?
So again, while Massachusetts lawmakers can't control what the FBI is doing or what ICE is doing, we can impose consumer privacy protections, which would prohibit companies from selling this data to anyone, including the federal government.
There's also a new bipartisan federal legislation, the Government Surveillance Reform Act, which would require federal officers to get a warrant before buying a person's information. In your view, would that be a game changer?
Yeah, that would be really hugely significant. I mean, I do not have a lot of confidence that this Congress is going to pass that legislation. But look, like you said, we at the ACLU believe that what the FBI and ICE are doing, going around the Fourth Amendment requirement that they have to go to a judge and get a warrant before, accessing information about our past locations through cell phone companies, this practice of avoiding the Fourth Amendment warrant requirement by buying the data from location data brokers, we believe is pretty obviously unconstitutional. The problem is that courts will only be able to evaluate the constitutionality of that question if they get a case at an appellate court, at a federal appeals court that says, I was victimized by this, the government used this information to prosecute me. And for a variety of reasons, the government's being very careful, I think, about not including that sort of information in criminal prosecutions. So, sort of avoiding judicial review of that issue. So we do believe that it's really an unethical and probably illegal thing that the federal government is engaged in. But, that hasn't stopped the Trump administration before.
Kade Crockford, we really appreciate you being here and getting your insight on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.